Okay. So Common Ground Garden Project began right in the middle of COVID. Founder Art Van Zanten was sitting in his office watching soccer on YouTube. And on the side feed where you see your next videos coming up, he saw a video called Plant It Forward of a brother and sister working in Houston, I believe, on an urban agriculture project and growing food for those in need, like the food bank and soup kitchens in their community. And so he thought, this is a lot better use of my time and will get me outside. So let's see if I can make that happen here. So he called up our city social planning department, as we was connected with, and had the conversation started. And from those two people, it then included our Poverty Reduction Alliance to discuss the issue of food security and how this could be a great project in our community, because the numbers showed that 5,000 families in the Red Deer region are food insecure. So if you assume that 4 people make a family, that's 20,000 people. That's 1/5 of our population, or 20%. So it's a significant figure that most people aren't even aware of. So with that initial conversation, the social planning department helped facilitate probably 24 different stakeholders representing different organizations over the span of a year and a half. And in that time, had many conversations about what a project could look like. The city just happened to have space available in what we call the Capstone area. So we've got about a 4-acre brownfield parcel that's the former home of Electric Light and Power. So there's some contamination issues, but we like to say we're making lemonade when we're handed lemons. And of course, we use our ingenuity and creativity together to come up with a design that created an above ground growing system, essentially. So our whole project is mobile or movable. The other thing with our site is that we're on a 90-day out clause. So if the land sells, because it's riverfront, high value property, we have to find a new home. So the mobility of the project makes it really easy to do that. But if you're a gardener, you know that anything not growing in the ground is twice as hard to keep alive, to keep it watered and weeded and loved, essentially. So that's where we've invited the community to be part of the project. So through elementary school engagements, through summer camps, and the school's coming back again in the fall, alongside workshops for people from all walks of life, working with our Immigrant Women's Association, our Red Deer Child Care Center, and the African Caribbean Center of Central Alberta, just to name a few. We've developed some really strong relationships and facilitation practices to make essentially a replicable model for our project across the community and hopefully anywhere in Canada. So that's what we're hoping to do is take our success in this pilot, expand it to multiple sites in our own community, but hopefully being a case study for other communities to learn from as well and apply where they live. So I have
Thank
a
you,
few
Michael.
slides to share with you just to kind of give you a picture of what it looks like.
Oh,
I have so
please.
many tabs open on my computer. I apologize. I have to find the right one. Bear
While
with
you're
me.
pulling it up, I'll just note, like with Ideaction, you're fulfilling multiple well-being impacts through placemaking with this work. You're transforming a space, but you're doing it through an effort to address food insecurity. And yeah, this speaks to the multiple impacts and powers of placemaking, which also makes it a little bit hard to pin down. But back to you.
Right. So we're on about 4 acres, but the city learned halfway through us getting the garden going that there were some serious contamination issues that needed to be dealt with. So they bisected the site with construction fence. In spite of that, on the small footprint we did have access to, we were able to grow in the first year, mid-season start, 500 pounds of food. In 2022, we did 1,250 pounds, almost doubling our footprint in that space. And now with a set footprint this year, we grew 2,300 pounds. So if you look at our goal from our funders, what we were trying to produce was 1,000 pounds over all 3 growing seasons. We did over 4,000. So it's above ground, which makes it twice as hard, but our productivity was 4 times greater than what we anticipated. So where did all the food go? As I mentioned, the mustard seed as our local soup kitchen, the Red Deer Food Bank, and then to our Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers and other volunteers that came and helped at the site. So you can see a picture of our Indigenous apprentice Megan there with her elders and how happy they were to receive that food. Let's see here. So we were lucky to also have a relationship with Young Agrarians. So they're a Western Canada organization that helps connect youth with farm placements and urban agriculture placements like we have. So in the pictures here, you can see Megan designed and installed with the help of the Indigenous elders a 30-foot medicine wheel garden, which was a beautiful finish to our footprint for what we have available space. We installed an earth loom, and there's Jenica with her there, working together as apprentices through Young Agrarians and weaving up the string for the public art piece that became. You can see it behind Megan there in the bigger picture. And then Miranda on the right there, helping us with our community composting initiative and showing off some of our premium worm castings we like to call Gardener's Gold. Our summer camp engagements were especially interesting because we tapped into a framework called permaculture principles. So you can see in the lower left there is the 3 ethics surrounded by the design principles. So the one exercise we picked to do 1 week of the summer camp over, of course, the 8 weeks of the 2 months that summer is contained to here in Alberta is the Da Vinci Bridge and using the principle of design from patterns to details. So we took paint stirring sticks from Home Depot and Rona, and made a basic H pattern. So 2 vertical sticks and 2 horizontal sticks. And if we repeat that pattern, we can make a very unique structure that Da Vinci's credited for as the inventor. So we went from the paint sticks on the picnic table to pallet wood in the garden. And then on the right, you can see a bridge crossing a creek or stream. And then in the lower right, you can see the actual real world design in Norway with a pedestrian bridge. So very simple concepts and properties of tension and compression, and showing kids that start small and grow from there, and you can literally change the world, much like Da Vinci did. So we're hopefully inspiring youth to be the next generation of innovators and placemakers. Our active reconciliation I mentioned earlier about hosting Indigenous engagements with our community, they were so popular that the attendance doubled after every one. And after the 4th session, we were actually able to host a harvest supper under the theme of a professional potluck, where we had over 160 people bring food from their own kitchens together to collect and celebrate together. We erected a teepee, we had Indigenous dancers and drummers, and just really a magical atmosphere that people were sharing food and stories and just being together again after all that isolation. I think we're really hungry for that kind of stuff. And as I mentioned, it's the opportunity for us to now take this model and apply it across our city and start really utilizing things like agrivoltaics, where we can install solar systems and grow under them and harvest rainwater from them. And if you didn't know, our city had a motto back in the 50s when the City Hall Garden was established. They were referring to us as the Garden City because we had so much park space, and actually over 25% of Red Deer is still in forested area. And then really trying to show people that they can be part of this, but they don't have to conform to one person's vision or one person's way of saying this has to be this way. This picture here is a mural mosaic. So obviously you can see the horse, but if you look closer, you can see that every single panel is another picture of a horse or horse-themed image. And collectively they come together to make that shared vision. So what we're trying to share here is that vision of sustainability, of getting your hands in the soil, of reestablishing your relationship with the natural world, but also with each other, so that as we move forward together through that active reconciliation, we're better connected with the land. As we heal the land heals us, and we create that harmony that I think we're all seeking to achieve.